the thing goes, so you will see me. We are now live on Facebook, so we live now. I'm gonna go ahead and share the post so you can see it and share it to your stream as well. And about a minute before we go on the air, I'm gonna switch to the audio of the radio, and so you won't be able to hear me. But as soon as the radio program start, you'll be able to hear me. So I'll let you know when we're about to do that. And now I'm gonna share this one. Tag you in it. All right, so you should see it now. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch the audio.
All right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are now tuned in to the U-Turn Show. I am your host, Richard Taylor. We're here on 106.9 FM, Awesome Radio, WBISLP. Right here live in Greenville. We want to thank everybody for joining us once again to this show. If you are new to the show, we are streaming live on Facebook. You can also go to our radio website, www.wbisawesomeradio.org. And you can also download our apps on Google Play, the App Store, and Alexa. Also, feel free to call in and interact with the show tonight. We have a very good guest. The interactive show line is 252-756-2008. And once again, it's a pleasure and an honor to be on this platform. I thank the Awesome Radio founder, Mr. Kilo Thigpen, for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank God as well. And once again, I have a very special guest tonight, so we're going to get right into it. This man is a great friend of mine, a great brother, a man of many hats. He's a politician, entrepreneur, businessman, philanthropist, philosopher, so many things, athlete, trainer, nutritionist, dietitian. So, I'm definitely excited to have our brother, Mr. Bevan Foster, on the line, on the live radio. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good. How about you, Rick?
I am doing great, man. Great, man. Definitely a pleasure to hear your voice and have you in. I certainly thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us tonight. And of course, the U-Turn Show highlights people like yourself and myself and others who have made substantial strides from the path that they took on early in life and have come to be very, very productive citizens in their own right in the community, in business, activism, everything. And you're one of those who, you know, if I haven't told you before, you definitely inspire me. You motivate me to do greater things. So I definitely want to get that out the way first. But we're gonna jump right into it. You're from Goldsboro, which is my hometown. Could you tell the audience about what it is you do right now in regards to profession, community work, politics, and everything?
Well, right now, as far as work, I'm a substance abuse counselor. During the day, politician, I guess, say 24 hours a day. Try to be in the community as much as I can. You know how that goes. You do what you can when you can outside of work and family and everything else. It's trying to balance yourself. It's like you said, you wear a lot of hats, but you still have to balance yourself and be grounded. I still have to make sure I have to make time for my son and just my life to work out, take care of myself, because if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of others.
Definitely. You did say a very important issue that I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about: fatherhood, which many people take for granted these days. But definitely, you've shown yourself to be a great father and exhibit the importance of fatherhood, especially in the communities of color. So, starting out, with your early life, I know all of these things, but how was it growing up in Goldsboro, your home life, your family life, as a young child?
Man, for me, I can say, that's why I love Goldsboro so much. It was a wonderful time. You know what I mean? To grow up here, a lot of culture, a lot of good people. You know what I mean? Just the neighborhoods were different, safer, just a lot of different things. And it's like you want to see that again, but you probably won't see it in that same type of way. But it was a beautiful thing, as far as growing up. I had my mom, my stepdad, two older brothers that lived with me also. I used to kind of sort of get called a Cosby kid when I was growing up a little bit. They said I was spoiled. I can't say I had a lot of problems growing up, to be honest. I was spoiled. I was, I had, came home every day to a nice house. Both parents kind of somewhat, because my stepdad was my dad. So I can't really complain about it at all, man. It was beautiful. You know what I mean?
Okay. And you actually had a positive relationship with your biological father. Am
Yes,
I correct?
Yes, I did. I did then, and I still do now. You know what I mean? That's why I said, I kind of sort of had the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? I could get shoes from my stepdad, turn around and get shoes from my how that go.
Yeah. So
Yeah, what I mean, it was beautiful.
so your narrative kind of goes against with a lot of my previous guests who can attest to troubled childhoods, fathers not there, mothers maybe on drugs and things like that. But you were fortunate enough to have that upbringing, and actually you were one of the fastest people in the state in high school.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was track, right? You ran track.
Yes.
All right. So and that kind of ties into a little bit that we might get to later on. So in high school you were pretty successful academically and athletically. And so where did that take a turn? You know, with your expectations because of all the accolades that you were getting in high school, whether that take a turn as it relates to the future of your plans, coming out of high school and going to college.
Okay, the turn for going from high school to college. I had planned to go to college, since I was little. You know what I'm saying? I always said I was gonna go to Harvard Law School. Some of those things didn't happen because I chose a different road. I had a lot of scholarships. I had full scholarships in the 10th grade to run track because I was number 2 in the nation. But making bad choices. You know what I'm saying? I made some bad choices, so I ended up having my grades slipped some. I ended up having to go to St. Aul for a year because I just waited. I just didn't kind of sort of I went through a transition. I say this: my parents got divorced. My mom and my stepdad got divorced, and that was a big transition in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Changed a lot of things. A lot of that foundation wasn't there anymore. Where kind of coming home to two parents, my parents making sure my grades were straight and everything. It was just like my mom was doing the best she could. You know what I'm saying? My stepdad was still in my life. My dad was still in my life, but it still wasn't the same as being in house. You know what I'm
And that happened in high school or on the way
saying?
to college?
Yeah, eighth grade. That happened in the eighth grade. And
Okay.
over through high school, you know what I mean? They carried on over. They went through a divorce battle for about 2 years, arguing over the house, all that kind of stuff. And
Okay.
mom did the best she could. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to sit back and, sometimes, you could have did this better, whatever. But she really did a great job and she held on to everything. So, that kind of sort of that was kind of the turning point for me a little bit with grades and kind of sort of getting a little lax. I love track because it was the sport that I love. So that didn't really fall off any, but the grades started slipping around that time.
Okay. And so you talked about bad decisions. Let's get into that real quick because it's kind of public knowledge. I know when you were running for office, the media like to bring up your past, in which you've done an excellent job of overcoming that past. So we're not bringing it up to drag it back in, but because it is a U-turn show, I do want to highlight the process of overcoming those decisions. Now, what were some of the bad decisions that caused you to have to undergo, as much scrutiny as you have?
Yeah, well, like I said, when I got in college, Rick, freshman year, all A student, you know what I mean? Dean's list. Sophomore year, went to the honor roll, and by the sophomore year, I'm in college. Selling weed. You know what I mean? Because it was like, yo, I wanted some money in my pocket, couldn't call home like that, to get it because my mom, it was just a lot going on. So even though I was on a scholarship, still it ain't the same as having that. You want the new Jordans and all that stuff. So like I said, I took that turn there. And even though I was still in college, I was still doing wrong while I was in college. So the money started coming, the faster paced life, and my grades started to slip some more, to a point where I was just like, well, I'm going on home, you know what I mean? And I came home, and that's when it really started hanging around a few of my cousins, some people I grew up with. I'm like, okay, y'all getting money around here, you know what I mean? I can do
Yeah,
this too, you know what I mean? Just being in all
definitely.
honest, it was about the money, you know what I mean? It was just about the money and that life and wanting things, wanting a motorcycle, wanting a nice car, you know what I mean? All that, not thinking like, yo, just go back to college and you can get all that, you know what I'm saying? Or go out here and get
Hmm.
a job or do something, use your brain a little bit better. It was the fastest way to get those things.
Definitely. And Don Exum said, "What's up, my good brother?" Sharice Boyd Jackson said, "Speaking well, Mr. Foster." So I do like to kind of go through some of the comments
Okay.
as we're on the air. But so then basically you took a turn into a faster paced lifestyle. More than weed. Harder drugs that you were selling, and that's one point I really wanted to harp on because you said something about you being number 2 in the state, and I can go down a list of high school athletes who have been highly talented coming out of high school, and then it didn't never materialize, and then they turn to that lifestyle too. What do you have to say about that? Do you think that sometimes coaches, people harp too much on athletics, and then when that person or individual or that student doesn't reach the pinnacle, does it automatically send them into a downward spiral? Because I know so many.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I was number 2 in the nation, number 1 in the state. The guy that was number 1 in front of me, Jerome Young, he went on and won an Olympic medal. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's just decisions, just choices. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame it on nobody. It's nothing any coach or anybody could have done to me that would have made me, do this or do that. It was just choices, you know what I'm saying, that you make.
Okay.
And most people don't want to own up to those choices, so they might blame it on others, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we still have a choice to make. And regardless of whatever, you know, outside forces or coaches or the pressure of being this certain type of athlete or being this person or getting held in the limelight, still has nothing to do with the choices that you make at the end of the day. And either those choices are going to be right or they're going to be wrong. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you know, most people just don't want to, you know, own up to that.
Okay. And the choices that you made, a letter Taylor, my mother said choices. Hey, Ma. So basically the choices that you made, did they end up getting you in legal trouble? Did you ever have to go spend time in prison or in jail?
Yes, Rick. For, you know, I had never did over 2 nights in jail, like through my whole illegal career. Let me say that.
Okay.
But one day, you know, I go to court and the judge tell me I got to do a year. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, yo, my whole everything left my body. You know what I'm saying? Like a year, like a year. You know, and it's like, oh, excuse me. That year felt like, I was like, yo, a year's a long time. You know what I'm saying? It's a long time. And so I had to do a year in prison. You know what I'm saying? And it was a shock, man. It was a shock, brother. It was a shock. You know?
Okay, so during that year in prison, is it then that you decided, hey, look, you know, I done took the wrong road. This ain't for me, and decided to make that change, or was it a gradual process? Was it overnight? What brought you to take the steps to bring you where you are today?
To be honest, I had already started before I went to prison. The last charge that I got was 07, and I went to court for it in 09. So within those 2 years, I had already changed my life. Started 2 businesses, was working, you know. I was back in school, finishing up my degree, you know, and like when I went to court that day, all that came to a stop. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, yo, no matter what you got on, you're going to prison today. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so, but I can already say that I had changed before I went to prison, because I honestly don't think prison changes people. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. You know what I mean? I think you got to already want to change, or you got to want it yourself. You know, prison is just, and it's, you know, some time that you're away. It's a penalty from being away from your people and things that you would normally do. But a lot of times it's not something that's forcing people to change, because a lot of times they get out and they don't have any other lifestyle but the same lifestyle that they left.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think it's something that you just got to want to do. It's a choice. You know what I'm saying? To go back to choices again, like, do you want to get out and go do the same thing that you're doing? Or do you want to get out and try to do something different so you don't end up back in there? You know what I'm saying? Because it's only a matter of time. You know what I mean? I've been around a lot of people, and I haven't seen nobody escape it unless they got out of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Happen. You know what I mean? You're gonna make a mistake. Somebody's gonna tell on you. Something's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So if it don't end in death, but something's gonna happen.
So coming out of that year, how hard was it to you to get back on track and focus and start to reach the goals that you may or may have not set for yourself, or the pinnacle that you've reached today?
Yeah, Rick, I gotta say this, man. Like, you know, everybody doesn't come home from prison in my situation. You know what I mean? My best friend and my father, they kept my landscaping business going. I had another friend that we had started a mental health business. She kept that going while I was gone. You know what I mean? And you know, my family. You know, I came home to, you know, a little different, but not a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? You know, and just to be honest, so I don't, you know, I don't really like using the word blessed, but you know, I'm gonna say that I was very, very fortunate, you know what I mean, to come out of it, you know, in a great situation.
Okay, and how important is that support system to reduce the recidivism that we see a lot today, which is a major problem, you know, something that we talk about often.
It's major, man. It's major. You know, I watched a lot of brothers, you know, while I was in there, they didn't know where they were going when they got out. You know, they honestly had to They was talking about trying to find halfway houses, and you know, while they were in there, their family never visited them, never wrote them. You know what I'm saying? And so it's totally different versus someone that's got a support cast is rooting for you to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And going to help you as long as you want to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, not to say still it, and you can do it both ways, but it's a lot better with help. That's with anything that we do in life.
Okay. And you came out and just jumped head first into your businesses, accomplishing your goals.
Yeah, but you know, I got out in February. Went right back to landscaping. Was, you know, working on the mental health business a little bit, but my main focus was to get back in school. So I was back in school full time in, I think it was that September or that October. You know, because school I was at did 8 weeks, but I think it was that October I started school back. You know, so you know I was serious. You know what I'm saying? I had some goals and things I wanted. I wanted to get my degree. You know, so that's why, you know, I was kind of, you know, had a lot of dedication at that time.
And so you did get your degree?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Maine Tate said, you know, put up the strong fist in the arms. Joyo Newkirk says heart. And Sharice Boyd Jackson said, please expound on your title of the commissioner. But being that we only have a minute until our station break, we're gonna harp on that when we come back. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have Commissioner Wayne County Commissioner Bevan Foster. So we're gonna get in a little bit of that about his decision to become a politician and everything. But I do want to real quick before we go to break announce that we are having a giveaway here at the station. We have a supply bag for middle school students age 11 to 13. Have a few supplies, books, pencils, and other utensils that could be used this year. So feel free to call in on our live studio line 252-756-2008 to claim your prize. And we're going to be right back in about a minute and a half with Councilman Bevan Foster here at 106 Awesome Radio.
Is it constitutionally protected in America to display a cross or a Christian symbol on public property?
That's attorney David Gibbs Jr., and this is the Legal Alert.
James recently called our office to get advice about placing some religious things like a nativity scene on the lawn of his local fire station. He had already asked the fire chief if he, along with friends from his church, could put up these religious materials at the fire station the next Christmas. They were planning in advance. James shared that the fire chief was hesitant about whether it would be legal to place this on public property during their season. We explained to him that it is absolutely legal. The Supreme Court has ruled that they can put up a nativity scene or other religious symbols as long as it is a part of a larger secular display for any given holiday. You have the right to put the religious matters in. They just have to have other matters displayed with them. If the nativity was placed alongside reindeer, candy canes, and the like, then it would be sufficiently secular to withstand any constitutional challenge. In America, you have the right to display religious things, crosses, and all kinds of religious symbols, as long as they're part of a bigger scene.
And that's today's Legal Alert with David Gibbs Jr. from the Christian Law Association.
Contradictions, only possible because the Bible is true. This is Ken Ham, author of 6 Days and Church Compromise. Many people claim the Bible's full of contradictions, but the very idea of contradictions is only possible because the Bible's true. Let me explain. If the universe is just the result of random chance processes, then what is a contradiction? And why can't it exist? In such a universe, laws of logic don't make any sense. The whole idea of contradictions rests on the foundation of God and His Word. Because there's a logical, orderly God who created and upholds the universe, we expect it to work in an orderly way. So the next time an atheist brings up supposed Bible contradictions, kindly ask, why do you believe contradictions can exist in the first place?
Plan your visit to the Ark Encounter when you go to AnswersRadio.com and find resources to help you defend your faith and share the gospel with others at AnswersRadio.com.
Hi, this is LaManda. I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM.
This ain't your plan for me to die up in these streets. Oh Lord, can you help me?
Yes, we're back on the U-Turn Show, 106.9 WBISLP on your radio dial. I am your host, Richard Taylor, and we have once again a special guest, Commissioner Bevan Foster. And I don't know if you could hear the commercial break, the station break that was playing, but that was definitely fitting, for my guest today. And we may have a chance to get into that. But we're going to go on about the transition that you made. Ms. Jackson did want you to expound on your title of Commissioner, and also Main Take said, my brothers, I'm proud of y'all. So what made you want to get into politics?
Okay, well, I graduated and I put in my business, and working in mental health, it's a lot of issues come with it. A lot of issues is going on in the community, going on with people that you just doing daily, and I started just to see, what's really started paying attention really what's going on around Goldsboro, because a lot of times we get up in the morning, we go to work, we go to the store, we come back home, and we're perfectly fine, and we don't think about things others may be going through, or we don't think about how our tax dollars are getting spent. We don't think about how our schools are going. We don't think about all those things, because, some of us have kids in school, some of us don't. But as long as our kid is okay, we don't think about the kids that aren't okay. We don't think about our elderly that may be getting mistreated, or our mental health, or people with mental disabilities, or, or veterans, or people with disabilities, period. So that's what sort of made me want to get into politics, to see what differences that I could make, because I didn't see any politicians in the community making anything different happen for anybody.
Okay. And your first foray into holding a public office was in what year?
2015.
2015, and that office was?
Council.
City council.
Yeah.
Okay. And with that, I know that I mean, I personally seen you hold actually the position serious, the state of affairs. How heavy of a load is that to address those issues that you just talked about, when it seems that nobody, in the community, even including the people that it is affecting, are concerned about those issues?
Well, it's hard, but you have to inform people. Most people don't even know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can know that you're going through something, but don't know how to handle it, don't know who you need to talk to, don't know anything. So, it's about information, informing, and then just taking it slow. For me, I used to get frustrated a lot because, I expected people to, hey, let's go. You know what I mean? And want something better. And sometimes people do, but they don't move as fast as what I may move, or are as ready to fight as hard as I'm willing to fight for it. So I had to learn to be a little more patient. I had to come at people a lot different to start making some things happen that I wanted to see happen. Are we where I want us to be? Not even close. But, I can say that people are at least paying attention to politics now. I think before I got into politics, most people didn't even know what a city councilman was, what he didn't never know nothing. You know what I'm saying? But by me having, I was a pretty popular person growing up. that a lot of people, you know, saw me in politics and like, oh, I can actually pick up the phone and call a city councilman now. I know him. I grew up with him. You know, or my son used to play with him or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that helped bring a lot of attention to it. And once that attention came, you know, I was able to show a lot of the things that were going on that shouldn't be going on in politics. You know what I'm saying? And what should be happening. So it brought a lot of attention, which is good.
Okay. And you actually served for Goldsboro City Council for what, total 4 years?
4 years, yes.
4 years. Okay. And after that, you actually made a charge for the mayoral position.
Yes.
And that was in what, 2019?
19, yes.
Okay. And after that, then you became elected as city council.
No, it's county commissioner.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah, county commissioner. I was just looking at Miss Anita Griswold Hamilton said truth. I guess that's on the things that you were just speaking about. So city now from 4 years to city council to county commissioner. This is your first term as county commissioner. How long is the term for county commissioner? Is it the same 4 years as well?
4 years, yes.
Okay, and that encompasses a little more responsibility. How different is the city council as opposed to being a county commissioner?
With the budget, it's a total different budget. You're responsible for a lot of money. How that money's allocated, you know, but you're not. So say we allocate the school system their money. We can't control the schools, but we allocate the money. You know, so we have our hand in their money, and so we pretty much control that. But once we give it to them, we can't tell them what to do with it. You know what I mean?
So who controls that? Does the school board control that, or is that two separate budgets?
The school board controls that 100% once we give it to them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so that where when I was a city councilman, I had about 4,000 people in my district. County commissioner, I have about 23,000.
Oh wow!
So you know that's a big difference there. Trying to think of what else.
Do a lot of people come to you and actually depend upon you to make changes that are out of your hands, or do they expect a little more than actually legally or positionally possible? Do you get those requests?
I do a lot, and I just have to explain to them, you know, so because a lot of people don't understand, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I mean, which I knew my county commissioner growing up around here because my family, we all went to the same church, you know.
Okay.
But had it not been for that, I wouldn't have known him. You know what I mean? So I kind of sort of got to see what went on and stuff like that. But most people have never known a county commissioner until I got there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know, so they don't know what you can do, what you can't do. So a lot of times I get crazy requests, crazy questions. I try to help and guide people as much as I can in the right direction, you know, and try to let them know, you know, look, that's out of my hands. I can't do anything about that. And most people understand, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I have to tell them more than once, but for the most part, they understand, you know what I mean, once you tell them.
Okay. And I got on my hat, you know, I got on my hat. I actually wore this, you know, on purpose today because it got the red, black, and green. If you don't know what the red, black, and green means, you know, you can look that up. But you're very adamant about the quote unquote African American community, and you know the things that are hindering us in a lot of facets. And have you seen any changes being made because of your voice on the issues that you speak upon a lot of times?
Yes, I do. I've seen a lot of changes over the years, man. I mean, one thing, because of the way I speak and the things that I say, most people don't like. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, it's my truth. You know what I mean? I can't say it's somebody else's truth because that's up to them. I can say it's my truth, but a lot of people don't like it. But at the same time, when they don't like it, it's still planting a seed. You know what I'm saying? I can watch it moving a whole lot different than what they used to move. You know what I mean? If you want me to expound on that, I will. You know what I mean?
Well, just 1 sec. We got about 20 minutes to our next station break, and we have a great question as well from Ms. Jackson. We're going to get to that as well. But once again, we are on the U-Turn Show, WBIS 106.9 FM. Awesome Radio.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change have released their new report, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres describes the report as a code red for humanity. He says the alarm bells are deafening and the evidence is irrefutable. Greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel burning and deforestation are choking our planet and putting billions of people at immediate risk. Hundreds of scientists involved in the report said the world is facing changes not seen in thousands of years. The report says some changes already in motion, such as the continued rise of sea levels, will take hundreds of thousands of years to reverse. This as global leaders publicly acknowledge the necessity of transitioning to a low-carbon society. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
Thank you for listening to WBIS LP 106.9 FM Awesome Radio.
Yes, again, once again we're back. The U-Turn Show. I am your host, Richard Taylor, here on 106.9 FM. Special guest once again, Wayne County Commissioner, the Sir Bevan Foster. And once again, I do want to hold this bag of supplies that we have. It's not a prize; it is a gift, a free gift that we are giving away. So feel free to call me and claim that gift if you do have a middle school student, age 11 through 13. Once again, we're going to pick up where we left off. This interview is not going to be long enough, but definitely, Miss Sharice Boyd Jackson asked a great question. Did you get a felony charge, and if so, how hard was it to keep your right to vote and run for political offices?
Yes, I did. It wasn't really hard. Once you have served your time and you're not on probation, you paid all your fees, you automatically get your rights back. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that, you know what I'm saying? You get your voting rights back. You are able to run for a political office at that time. You know what I mean? But, I had to do my research. I always tell people, do your research. Reading is fundamental, but that's it's the law. So, you know what I mean? I was, cleared to do everything that I set out to do.
Okay. And I was actually at a program this Sunday where a former classmate of mine had a station, and she was talking about expungement. Were you able? Of course you just explained you didn't have to, but did you get your record expunged? And how difficult is that if to get your record expunged?
Yeah, I've looked into expungement a lot. I don't have anything expunged on my record. Everything is still there. It's my charges from what I read and what I understand, it can't be expunged. Okay. I could write to the governor, and the governor might pardon me at some point if he wanted two of my charges. But the expungement is for a lot of misdemeanors and stuff right now. It's not for a lot of felonies. So okay. I don't fall into the category of expungement. So I just, I live with it. I don't let it hold me back. The only thing that I feel like I can't do right now legally is own a gun. You know what I mean? I don't stop it. I don't let it stop me from getting my professional license. I carry a couple of different licenses, my general contractors, my real estate appraisal. You know what I mean? I don't let it stop me. You know what I mean? It's just like, a lot of people think felonies and stuff do, and it may stop you sometimes from going into a certain company and getting a job because people look at it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
I'm not gonna say that, but you just gotta keep going at it. You gotta prove it to them. You know what I'm saying, and whatnot. So that's the main thing.
Yep. And Siobhan Brown, classmate, says she loves this as well. Sharice Jackson said, good education on us. Good for you. And so how, because I experienced that a lot too when people bring up your past. How difficult does that even bother you anymore when people bring up your past and try to discredit you? Because you said the last time you got in trouble was 2007. That's 15, a decade and a half ago.
Yeah.
So do you let those things bother you, or what do you say to people when they try to discredit you by bringing those things up?
It just all depends on how I'm feeling at the moment. I ain't front because I get smart with them and be like, well, what are you doing? You didn't get into any of that trouble, but you're not doing anything with your life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and people might get upset, but that's the truth. It's like you have no excuses to not do anything in life. I just oh, this is holding me back, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? But I don't. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
You got that outlook at it. Sometimes I just explain the situation to people and and just tell them like, look, you can't we've all done something wrong, you know what I mean? And it just all depends on what that wrong is. I don't know what happens after life, you know what I'm saying? But they say we all gotta stay in judgment, you know what I'm saying? So
definitely,
is my felony gonna be any different than anybody else's wrongdoing? I you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's just I tell them, and I don't try to hide from it. You know what I'm saying? I'm never try to hide from it from day one until now. You know what I mean? I never tried to hide from it, and people thought, oh, they're gonna expose me or whatever or control me by it. And it's like, I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I know who I am. I know what I did. I know what I'm trying to do. I know what I'm gonna do in the future. You know what I'm saying? But so
definitely.
that's the main thing.
Okay. And while we're talking about scrutiny, because I know for a fact that you have received a lot of scrutiny because of your criticism of not necessarily the church, but the way the church runs business, the way the church interprets the Bible. And, I definitely agree with a lot of your viewpoints. And actually during the break they mentioned atheists. I don't know if you heard that on the commercial break. That's why I was laughing so hard, because I know they've called you an atheist. Say they, a lot of people call it, but I know for a fact that that you believe in God, and that you actually study what is the true meanings of the scriptures that are written in the Bible. So what is your interpretation of what Jesus asked us to do here on earth, as opposed to what you see being done by quote unquote believers or Christians?
I mean, it's simple. You know what I mean? For me, you help others. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. You can't. It was all about the people that's in need. You know what I mean? From what I read of the scripture, and people, can say something different, but that's just what I read. So that's what I do. You know what I mean? I read the story. I tried my best to follow it. I tried my best to live my life like that. You know what I mean? But most people, we've been taught to do something different. We've been taught to go to church every Sunday and pay our tithes and pray that everything is going to be okay. But if you read the scripture tells us faith without works is dead. So that means we have to get out here and actually do something. If Jesus was sent here to show us a way of life, the way of life and how to live, then we're supposed to follow what he did and do what he did. It's simple. You know what I mean? But so many people have veered away from that, from traditions. And the Bible also talks to us about traditions and how traditions are gonna basically ruin us. You know what I'm saying? And they have, because we think that we supposed to get dressed on Sunday and go listen to the choir and listen to the pastor and all that. But why we ain't getting up on Sunday and going helping somebody?
Definitely.
We should be helping somebody every day, but that's what it was about. So, for me, I just, like I said, like you said, a lot of criticism, but I stay grounded to what I believe. You know what I mean? And I just try to live my life my righteous way. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, but I also heard, you say earlier that you've kind of laid back a little bit because you've been so vigilant, so passionate about a lot of things. I heard you say, okay, well, everybody's not moving as fast as you would or as you would like them to go. And then you said, as you have laid back a little bit, you've been able to, kind of meet people where they are and get a little bit more accomplished.
Yes.
Would you say that's true?
Yes. I think so. Sometimes, everybody's not ready for the message. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you find out that people can't take that message. You know what I'm saying? Which is more important than anything. You know what I mean? It's like the delivery of that message. It's a couple different things. And, I don't think, I'm not going to say that I was wrong, but I'm going to say that I could have done a lot of things different in my message that might would have came across a little bit better. Now I'm learning that it really doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? Like it's about, where's the love at? You know what I'm saying? We got enough love. We're gonna love everybody out here anyway. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do what's right anyway if the love is there. And so for me, it's like, I don't worry about so much of trying to teach or bash something into someone's head. It's more or less, I'm gonna show you this love, and hopefully you show somebody else the love, and we can keep this thing going. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah, and that's definitely growth, man. That's definitely growth. And so, where do you see you talked about your future? Where do you see do you see yourself possibly running for mayor again, or where do you see yourself in the future of politics, or even business wise?
Yeah, well, to run for mayor or to go for mayor, like people don't understand, like that would be a step backwards in politics for me right now. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that I would go backwards if it was what the community wanted and needed. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely do it for that because I'm not in it for self. You know what I'm saying? But political wise, it's a step backwards in politics. You know what I mean? That the city council and the mayor sit a little under us. We sit a little over them. My next step would be the House and the Senate for North Carolina. It starts going up in politics anyway.
So do you see yourself going toward that route?
To be honest, I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever the future holds. If the opportunity is there and, it's the right move, I would definitely run for it. You know what I mean? Not scared to do it. You know what I'm saying? But, and if I see I could accomplish some things there, you know what I'm saying? And, so I can't really say politically where I'm going to end up. Right now, I'm just going through the motions. If that is a good enough answer.
Taking it. I think one day at a time.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that's a better analogy for it.
Yeah.
And so, what else can we talk about? I mean, we only get
business. You asked me business wise. I don't know if you want me to answer what I'm.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can go ahead. And actually, go ahead.
Business. We have no black real estate appraisals here in Wayne County. So my plan is to, get everything together so I have all my hours in so I can become certified in that and hopefully bring some others up underneath me and, show them how to get started in that business. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about that. Because we talked about this obstacle a lot that you're having with that. Have you made any progress with that? And if not, explain to the people how and why it's so hard.
Yeah, a little bit. To be honest, it's an industry led by, Caucasians. And, right now, they have to let you in. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to do 2,000 appraisal trainee hours. And until somebody's willing to allow you to do that under them, it's not going to happen. So I've gotten a lot of no's, but I'm going to get a yes sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. But I keep my license current. I just had to do some classes, recertify, all of that. So when the opportunity presents itself, I'm definitely going to hop all over it.
And that's something that people, like I said, once if I hadn't talked to you about that, because I've sold real estate myself, been a real estate agent, and seeing an appraiser come out, I thought, okay, anyone can be an appraiser in the process. That's simple, but actually, as you've explained it, like people have a monopoly on that that aspect where if no one allows you to get those hours, then it's only a certain amount of people that can get in. Like if you're not a relative, if you're not one of their friends who they want to bring you in, then it's sort of like a barrier. And I think you said it's only 3 quote unquote African American appraisers in the state of North Carolina. Am I correct?
I know the state numbers. I can't say the state numbers.
Okay.
I just know they're not any in Wayne County. I only know of like 2 on the Eastern North Carolina that I know of. There may be some that I don't know, you know what I mean? But I can promise you there are not a lot in the state of in the state of North Carolina. I don't know how many, but I think it's more than 3, but I guarantee you it's not a lot.
Okay. And lastly, 1%, man, go ahead.
I said maybe 1% of all appraisers might be Black in North Carolina. You know what I mean? And that's not a good number.
Yeah. So where do we go from here as far as things like that? Because you said that's one of the reasons that you got into politics. Where do we go from here as a people? Because I'll say this. People always saying that Black people don't come together. And, I heard someone say, no, Black people always coming together. We come together at the club. We come together at cookouts. We come together to drink and party at the strip clubs. We come together at church. We come together in a lot of places, but we just don't have an agenda when we come together. So that's why it always seems like we're stagnant. So where do we go as far as community, politically, business, financially, socially, familial? What do you think, in your observation of the current state of affairs, which allowed you to get into politics?
Well, coming together is important. I mean, it's strengthened, man. We all know that, but a lot of times, we have so many different issues that we're battling when we come together that we can't seem to get on one accord a lot of times. And, we have a lot of ego and a lot of issues. And not to say that other ethnic groups have those issues too, but they've been doing it for so long and they haven't been conditioned to, the way that we have that it's not the same problems. You know what I mean? But it's a battle. It's a battle. I don't have all the answers for that. You know what I mean? Because I it's one of the things that I've tried to bring people together in so many different platforms, so many different ways, and it's been hard. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I'm not happy about how much I've achieved in that myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to see more unity. You know what I'm saying? I still want to see more unity. I mean, we have an event coming up this Saturday, 100 men, you know what I mean, in suits, and I'm hoping that we get 100 men, but I don't know if we are because it's just so hard to get, Black men, Black women, people to come together just to do something even simple. So when it comes time for something hard, we're not nowhere to be found. We can't stick together.
100 men in suits, and that's going to be held downtown Goldsboro?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a particular time?
Saturday, 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So if any brothers young men want men or old men want to be a part of that. Come on out Saturday downtown Center Street, the Center Street Circle, or wherever it's being held. Come on out in your suits and show some form of solidarity in the community, because I remember a couple of years back, I think you tried to get 100 men to walk down the street in a parade, and we didn't reach that number. So I definitely feel your pain. I feel your frustration with that. But once again, I want to commend you, man, on your U-turn, the things that you've accomplished, man. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you business, but when I spoke to you earlier today, yesterday, I think it was, and you told me where you was coming from, just motivate me, man. I say you're a globetrotter. So, but that, man, it's just awesome, man, to see, your dedication, your growth, and your understanding of things, man, that we need to do. So we got about a minute left, man. Would you like to, because I'm not going to hold you, overboard, because I know you like to go to bed and get up early and hit that weight room. So is there anything you want to leave the people, man, before we go?
Just, educate yourself on everything, try to start getting more involved in what's going on in politics in your neighborhood, from your city council to your school board, to your county commissioners, because that's your tax dollars. That's, when something's not happening, that they're the reason why, you know what I'm saying? And when one school is getting more than another school because of a location or things like that, that's who you need to be talking to. We need more people that to get into politics that want to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so many times, people get into it, and we get into it for the money, and I don't know why. It's not a lot of money. But or you get into it for the power, the greed, the popularity, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mr. Foster, we about to end the program,
Okay.
but I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, man, and make sure y'all tune in next week.
All right.
Lord, I need you to smile on me. Lord, I'm pleading. Tell me where you want me to go. I want to be right with you. And oh Lord, I'm tired of going through. Lord,
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
All right, okay, yeah. So we will keep it going a little bit. Now, what were you saying about why people getting in there a little bit?
I mean, sometimes it's for the wrong, popularity, you know what I mean? Just different things for the money, for the greed, for the power, and not to really help people, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things happening a lot in politics now.
So why would you advise somebody to get in it?
Because to do all of those things, to get in it to help people, you know what I mean? Like, you can actually make a difference. I mean, a lot of times it's about who you have. I had 4 people at the table with me. It's a lot of change to make happen on a 7-person board. You know what I mean? But when it's only 2 like-minded people, you fighting. You know what I'm saying? And you got 5 against you. You're never gonna accomplish a whole lot that those 2 aren't gonna accomplish a whole lot that they want to accomplish, because they're gonna get outvoted. So having people, like-minded people on the board that want to see, whether it be the city council, the school board, or the county commission, just local.
And so the school board, what is the situation like with the school board now?
When you say situation, what you mean by situation?
I mean, I know there was something a while back when they were talking about, some financial discrepancies and things of that nature, or, so, I mean, because I know one day I went up to the school board meeting. This was probably about 8 years ago, and no one was there. But I addressed the school board about, I think at that time I was addressing the curriculum. Like, okay, well, and, They was just like, okay, well, next person or whatever. So I don't, like, is it just a figurehead? Is it just, someone who just goes through the motion, or are they really concerned about, the education, the success of the students?
I think they're invested in a certain demographic.
Okay.
Success of students. All no. So that's first and foremost. Do I agree with you? No, I don't at all. You know what I mean? I don't know. They all paid back the money that was missing. You know what I mean, or that wasn't spent in the right place. But it's just a lot of questions there for me. And my thing is, like you said, you share something, or legal issues with the school board, and they just, oh well, okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a real legal issue. You got teachers breaking laws. What are they there for? But if a student break a law, you taking him to jail, him or her to jail. So it's a lot of issues going on there, man. A lot.
Yeah, and what do you think about the criminalization of students at a young age? So I don't know if you remember, like, a lot of our students or friends may have been, in junior high, and they go to those training schools, which were basically, I thought they were schools, but I learned as an adult they were just young prisons. Maybe for acts that they committed in school, maybe being sent to the office, too many times, or maybe, now they actually, if you have a fight in school, if I'm not mistaken, you can get a criminal charge, right?
Yes.
Is that still the same?
Yes.
So what do you,
Yes. I think a lot of that stuff need to be done away with. They need to come up with a different plan, because that's been going on forever. It's not successful. And well, let me say this. It may be successful for the goal that they want. Let me say that. You know what I'm saying? And in my eyes, successful for those students that have those problems and those issues, because what is it doing to them? Now you're putting a label on them. You know what I mean? You sending them to jail. You giving them a record that they did. So it's like they already behind the 8 ball. They even further behind now, trying to get. So said, I don't like it, but and that's why we need people there on that board that can vote and change those rules. I can't change those rules. You know what I'm saying? I can get some of these county commissioner rules changed in place that I don't like, and that's what I've been working for. But the school board, I can't change their rules.
How many people are on the school board?
7.
7 people?
Yes.
And how long do they serve?
They serve 4 years.
4 years. Now, are those elections held in conjunction with the city council elections or the county commissioner elections?
Say this. They do a staggered term.
Okay.
They have 4 members are coming up for election in 2022, and then the other 3 will come up for election in 2024.
Okay. So every 2 years they change members, pretty much. Or
let's say half of their board every 2 years.
Now, can they run in an unlimited term, or they have to?
That I know of, yes.
Oh, and that's the same thing with the council and the mayor and the commissioners, right? They can, long as people keep voting them in, they're going to stay there, right?
Yes.
And do you find that to be a problem? Like, when people, okay, well, this guy's been up there, so I'm going to vote for him, and just the familiarity of that name. Because I remember, and not to just say anything bad, but I just remember Charles Wiggins. He was, I think he was a reverend or whatever, but he was always on the city council, and it was just, I wasn't voting back then. I was like, okay, Charles Williams, and every time it was election time, I think maybe we were in his district, but if I'm not mistaken, people just voted. We were, right?
We're in his district, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure that my mom just voted for him, but there are people like that right now to this day, probably on the commissioner or those positions. What do you think about, just people not being informed about things like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is, you know, I think Mr. Williams served years before I took the seat.
How many years? Because you
18.
was kind of break. 18.
Yes, 18 before I took his seat. And but so one, it's kind of sort of goes a lot of different ways. Like you said, your mom or somebody will vote because of familiarity. But you also have those in the community that's scared to go against them.
Okay.
So nobody even challenges his seat. So basically, he probably ran unopposed. He might have ran unopposed for a lot of those years.
Okay.
So, like that too, where you know nobody wants to challenge the person that's already. So you know they oppose it there as long as they want to, almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everybody. Now, do you think they're afraid to go against them for losing, or just afraid, to challenge the status quo, or afraid because of intimidation? Why would somebody be afraid to challenge, someone who's been in the seat for so long?
Honestly, everything that you just said.
Okay.
You know, it may be different per person, but all of those apply. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen it all. I've gotten phone calls about it all. Like, hey man, I'm scared, or what if I lose? Or you know what I mean? You know, kind of intimidated, or this or that or the third. You know, and it's like, to be honest, and not, but if those people, when they call me, I really don't want them to run anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
so did you ever have that fear though? Did you ever have that fear of losing, and actually, like I said, you didn't win the mayoral race? So how did that affect you? Or did you know?
People gotta understand you ain't gonna win everything. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like I remember, you know what I'm saying? Like I ran so many races, I was just undefeated. And I got one time in high school and everybody was like, ooh, 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 ooh. And really I got beat because I stopped at the wrong line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't even care because I knew, you know what I'm saying? I know who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Confidence. And then everybody hasn't been through losing in their life. You lose, you fight back up. Try again. You know what I'm saying? But some people, afraid of that loss, man. And that's like, if you're that scared, you don't need to be in a position.
Definitely. Definitely.
I've seen some, take a loss and willing to do anything to win next time. You know what I'm saying? So it could turn you into a whole other animal too. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot to it, man. And people show that you know what I'm saying, and whatnot. It's gonna come out sooner or later. Like, for me, I think from that I ran 2015, people might have seen some growth and see some changes in me, but I'm still the same person. You know what I mean? And I didn't let politics change me. I don't try to I'm any different, better than anyone. But sometimes those people, and they get in, and they get a little funny and a little different, and you know what you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like people in politics because they're not there for the reason of help.
Okay. So basically, you're saying like sometimes losing actually builds your character, or like you said, shows who you are.
It should.
Yeah.
It should, but it's just all on how a person take it. You know what I mean? Everybody's different. I think losing should build some character in you. Should make you.
Yeah. So what other community events that you might be having as far as the kids? I know you're very active in helping, especially Uhuru Freedom. Shout out to Uhuru. And other people. What do you have any like back to school stuff, or any community events that are coming up that you might want to let the people know about before we go?
Yeah, no, I don't have events per se myself, Rick. I really don't do a lot of back to school because I know a lot of people do them. So I wait and try to do my thing when, around October, November, when the kids start running out of supplies and they need something again. So,
okay.
A few of the schools I donation list for a few of the schools, some things that are needed locally. So, you know, I started working on that the other night with city councilman Matthew, also with, you know, your old supervisor Kiki Bell, you know what I mean? You know, so it's a lot of people that, you know, want to donate and do some things. So I work with them behind closed doors to, you know.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what you do, man. Like I say, you do a lot of stuff that people don't know about, you know, and not for the accolades, but the genuineness of your heart, man. So I just want to commend you on that, man. I want to say keep doing your thing, man. Like I said, you motivate me, man. Like I said, I mean, just know that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when I see you, you know, I'm like, okay, I can keep going. I can keep going. So I just want to thank you, man, for taking out the time. I want to thank everybody who joined this live and listened to us. And, you know, I hope everybody has a great night, man. I'm going to let you go, man, because I know it's about 11:08, man.
Yeah, thank you, man, for having me on, Rick. I appreciate it, man. I see everything you do. You know, you motivate me as well. We've had several talks behind closed doors. You know about your movement, what you're doing, your books, your speaking engagement, brother. Like, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? Continue on. Anything I can do for you, you already know.
All right, bro. I'm gonna talk to you, man. Peace, man. Hope we got one more comment before we go. Atlanta Taylor, great dialogue, guys. Good night, Mom. Love you, sweetheart. Thank you for tuning in. All right, Bill. I'm gonna let you, bro.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, you too.